Simmers, SimsEclaire here and welcome back to my channel. For today's video we are continuing on with my Willow Creek portion of the save file, and for today's build we are back in the same neighborhood as Eliza Pancakes, or I should say the same section of the neighborhood as Eliza Pancakes, because obviously we are always in Willow Creek for this series. But we are right next to the pond, we're across the street from Eliza Pancakes, and this home is a family home for a single father. Now, when I initially planned my save file and the Sims that were going to be living in it, I was trying to keep like an even tally for the different age groups, so I didn't want too many young adults versus adults, and I didn't want too many kids versus teenagers. So this home was initially supposed to be one father and one kid, just to keep things simple. But then as I was building and I got really into the build and I was really enjoying, you know, the suburban style and making everything like cute and cluttered, I quickly realized this house was too big for one dad and one kid. So I decided he was now going to have 3 children. And I kind of fixed the story to go along with that, and because I ended up fixing the story, I also made the Sims. You'll see some of them in the screenshots at the end of the video running around the house because I did go ahead and move them in. But basically the story is Jessie Carver and Dahlia Carver got married very young, right out of high school, because Dahlia realized she was pregnant. So they tried to do, you know, the quote-unquote right thing in terms of society standards and get married and try and do the whole family thing, raise their kids. And they went to school. They ended up both going to Foxbury, even though Delilah wasn't really that like mental-minded. She was more of a creative gal, but she went to Foxbury so that way her and Jessie could stay together, and she ended up meeting someone else who she fell in love with, so they got divorced, Jessie and Delilah, and Delilah ended up not really wanting anything to do with the kids. Like, she's like, yeah, I'll take them on like the weekends or something, but I want to focus on my life and my career goals and not really have to worry about raising the kids. So she left Jessie with Aimee, Adaline, and then at that point they had already had another child. I can't remember what I named him though. I feel like it starts with a D, but I feel so bad, but I cannot remember his name. But at that point, they'd already had a second child, another accident, but a happy blessing nonetheless. And so now Jessie is stuck with, I shouldn't say stuck, he's happily in a household with 3 children. He is a young adult with 2 twin girls who I want to say they probably just aged up into kids, because I did think this family grew pretty quickly. So they just aged up into kids, and then 1 toddler, and he is trying his best. The house is a little cluttered, it's a little messy. You'll see when we get to the inside, because obviously he doesn't have a lot of time on his hands. In order to afford a house like this, he has to work all the time. But I did think that he was a tech startup entrepreneur. Initially the video was going to be titled Entrepreneur's Home, but then when I realized that the storyline was more along the lines of his family life, I decided to go ahead and change it to a single father family home. But he started, after he got out of Foxbury, he had some friends and they were all like trying to help him, you know, get over Delilah, and he kind of really put himself into work so that way he could create the best life for his kids as possible. So him and his friends started this tech company, and he is technically, in terms of the Sims, he's in the tech guru career. I think it's level 6 that I ended up putting him in, but that's on his way to being a startup entrepreneur. That's like the last line. I think there's like 3 more promotions to go. That's the last line. So his company's really taking off. He's starting to make some money, and you know, he's doing it all to try and provide for his kids. And you know, since he is an entrepreneur, he has a little bit more free time. You know, he can make his own business hours, so he gets to spend time with his kids and, you know, really be there. He's family oriented and he loves his kids. He has a pretty good parenting skill. I think I made it level 4 or 5. So he's always around. He's trying to help take care of them. And yeah, so he's just a very, very diligent father, but he is struggling a little bit. You know, you'll notice some clutter around the house. You know, he can't quite keep everything as tidy as, you know, maybe a multi parent household could. But his kids love him, and yeah, they're all just like one big happy family. And the inside of this home, I cut out the floor plan. When I did the floor plan initially, it took me like 40 minutes because I kind of broke the house. I don't know what exactly happened, but I decided I wanted there to be a landing area, so like you could look down at over the landing of the stairs to the downstairs level. And when I did that, it deleted the entire floor of the upstairs, and I had to go back through and redraw every room individually to figure out where it broke so that way I could fix it. Because if you don't have like a fence connecting to a wall when you try and do the landing areas, it'll delete whatever floor is not sectioned off. And unfortunately, I must have missed a square somewhere, so it deleted the entire upstairs floor. But every time I tried to fix it by just doing the backwards button and redrawing the fence, it would just delete other sections of the floor. So I just went through, and what I did was I deleted the whole floor and then redrew the rooms how I had them planned, so that way I could do the floors individually and try and figure out where it went wrong. And I eventually figured it out, and I fixed it, obviously, but that's why I deleted the floor plan in this one, in this video, because obviously that just took way too much time. But we're using a mix of Seasons and Parenthood and Eco Lifestyle, and pretty much just a hodgepodge of different packs. The dad, Jesse, does have quite a bit of a handiness skill, because I definitely thought he had bought this house as a little bit of a fixer-upper. You know, this is in the middle class income area of Willow Creek, and I thought that he probably bought it at a decent price. Maybe there was some plumbing issues or some woodwork issues, and he went ahead and fixed it all while he was working on his company, because, you know, he's probably putting in a lot of hours, but it was all at home because it's a home-based business, so he was probably putting in a lot of hours and then going and fixing some things around the house and stuff like that while he was trying to raise the kids. So I did think that the Seasons and Parenthood furniture and the Eco Lifestyle furniture went along with that storytelling a little bit better, because a lot of the Eco Lifestyle furniture in particular kind of looks like dumpster dives that you might have fixed up yourself, and then like the Seasons is all wood-based and everything like that as well. And then over here, I am putting curtains up. I'm kicking myself a little bit because when you do screenshots, they look better in terms of lighting when you don't have curtains, because it lets the natural light in from the outside of the game, but the curtains look better in terms of decoration. So I always have this internal debate on if I want the screenshots to look better or if I want the decorations to look better. So in the screenshots, this area of the house looks a little dull because I did put the curtains up, but I think it's still just like a cute family dinner area. Obviously there is no toddler chair because at this time I hadn't quite worked out if it was going to be a set of triplets or if it was going to be a toddler and two twins, so I wasn't quite sure yet if I was going to have a toddler, but I do in the end up adding a toddler potty upstairs and then also a high chair to the table. And then over here we are working on the kitchen. It's quite a big kitchen. The dad has a little bit of a higher cooking skill, but I also thought that maybe one of the kids was really into cooking. One of them is a creative bean, so I figured maybe they wanted to be a cook one day, or maybe they were always helping out their dad because they were a little bit more mature and they were trying, you know, cook things without setting the house on fire, and like that could be a storytelling moment if when they turned into a teenager and they could actually cook things if they actually set the house on fire, because you know that's super easy here in The Sims 4. But that's kind of what I was thinking. I thought they spent a lot of time in this kitchen. Obviously there's some dog food bowls. They do have a dog. Its name is Nibbler. It is an Alaskan Malamute and Bulldog mix, I want to say, is what I ended up making it. But it's like this super big, super cute, fluffy dog, the kind of dog that I always grew up with, so that's kind of where the inspiration was from. And then we're just cluttering up the kitchen counters a little bit. I do end up leaving a couple of them empty. I don't know if your sim can use the one that I put the dishwasher under, but they can definitely use the one where next to the sink. So I think there's one usable counter. It always ends up, like, if I have a super tiny kitchen, I usually end up with more usable space than when I have a super large kitchen, and I don't know what it is. But when I have large kitchens, I always just clutter up every single counter, and then I get these comments like, well, this kitchen isn't actually usable, and I'm like, whoops, my bad. But in here is one of 3 bathrooms in the build, and they are all full baths, so they all have bathtubs or showers. Actually, I think they all have the same bathtub shower combo now that I think about it, because you won't see me decorate all 3 bathrooms. I did cut the upstairs 2 out, and I think I did that specifically because they all had the same furniture in it. So I think they all have the same, you know, the same double bathroom or double bathtub and shower combo. But in here is the dad's office. I wanted to make sure he had a nice little space for himself, you know, carved out in this home of madness. So he has his little desk area. It's kind of cluttered. There's some family pictures. There's the cork board with the calendar and some like post-it notes on it. I would think maybe like meetings he has with customers. I didn't really think about what his tech startup did, because I'm not 100% sure what tech startups do. I just know that in The Sims they make lots of money, and I thought that it'd be kind of bittersweet if like his wife left him for maybe like a richer man that she met in college, and then in the end he ended up being the richer man. I thought that would kind of be, you know, poetic justice, if you will. But upstairs we have the bedrooms. So right now we're decorating one of the kids' bedrooms, and I did use the bunk beds because right before I did this we got the update where you could now place desks under bunk beds without the move objects cheat on, so I wanted to try that out, and it works really well. Obviously, you know, now that they fixed it. I will say it kept tripping me up because it wanted me to slot it into the other space. So if you guys don't know, you can either fit the desk this way or you can turn it around, so that way like if I could have the desk facing the window but it would still be slotted underneath the bed, and it kept trying to get me to face it that way, but I don't really like how that looks. I have to play around with it. So it was tripping me up that it kept trying to slot the bed in the other way. But now we're into the toddler bedroom. The bedrooms go really quick because they're all super tiny, but in here's the toddler bedroom. We're using the eco lifestyle bed. I thought the dad probably made that for him. You know, when he was first born, maybe he originally made a crib and now he turned it into a toddler bed. But the room's very neutral toned, kind of like the rest of the house, because obviously toddlers don't have that much of a personality yet, so their house is kind of decorated how this room is decorated how the dad decorated the rest of the home. And then as the kid ages, he'll be able to put his own spin on it. And then in here is the other child's bedroom. They are super separated for them being twins, but I thought maybe they weren't, you know, like as close as twins usually are, because they do have a couple of different personality traits. One of them super social yet intelligent and bright, and she wants to do, you know, robotics. And then this sim here is a little bit more creative. She really enjoys music and art and, you know, hanging out kind of alone in her room, but you know, doing her drawings and listening to and playing music. So I thought one definitely took more after their dad and one took after their mom. And it actually kind of goes to show, because the one that took after her mom was there when the parents got divorced in terms of storytelling. So she has a sentiment for her dad and like a sad moodlet from witnessing the parents getting divorced. But the one that was not there, who is actually the one who gets along better with her father, does not have that sentiment. So it kind of like, it was a total accident, but it ended up working out for storytelling anyway. But in here is the dad's room. It's definitely a little bit more decorated than some of the parents' rooms I've been doing recently, because I usually forget about storytelling in terms of the parents. But I did put some kids decorations up. I thought that, you know, he was super proud of his kids, so whenever they did pictures or something in school, he always hung them up so he could pay attention to them and show his pride and stuff like that. And then over here is his little dressing area. We have a mirror, and I really wish that glitch wasn't still in there, so that way it wasn't completely blacking out the wall behind the bed, but that's okay. But I'm cluttering up the dresser a little bit just to make it look like, you know, he is still a little bit of a mess even in his own room. I'm adding some more shelving because I thought he would definitely have a lot of books and CDs and stuff because it's a part of his job. And then out here is a very, very simple dining area. I almost didn't make it a dining area because I didn't think I'd be able to fit a table, but I ended up fitting just like a super tiny 4-top, and there's no toddler toddler chair out here as well, so the toddler couldn't technically sit out here, but then again, I don't think that all 4 of those chairs are functional anyway. But I'm also going to be adding some kid stuff, a swing set and some monkey bars, and then also a couple of eco items, because I thought that Dad would definitely be more on the green spectrum of technology. But besides that, that is it for this build, so I hope you all enjoyed this one. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all next time. Bye! Thank you.